Okay, so another trade review. This one's going to be Scene of the Crime. So this one is Ed Brubaker, Michael Lark, and Sean Phillips. I think Michael Lark did most of the pencils, and Sean Phillips does the inks. Now, the one I've got in my hand, this is by Image Comics, and I think it's pretty recent. It's 20, yeah, it's 2021. But there is a introduction from Brian Michael Bendis, and that one's from 2012. But I'm pretty sure this was originally published by DC Comics, like around 98, 99, something like that. So I'll have to look into that. But so yeah, Seed of the Climb was originally published by DC Comics in 1999 as a miniseries on the Vertigo line, and it's I don't know what sort of um, contract he had with them, but clearly it's a creator-owned project. He took it to Image and published it as a trade in 2012, and then again in 2021. There's also a backup story that was originally published in Vertical's Winter's Edge, which was an anthology comic they did at one point. Okay, so the plot has to do with this young private eye named Jack Harriman. He's put on the trail of a missing person. This woman asks him to find her missing sister, and it leads him into a mysterious cult. He's aided by his uncle, a famous crime scene photographer, and his old buddy, a slightly more successful private eye. Along the way, we and Jack discover how this kind of parallels and sort of relates to his own past. So Ed Brubaker started in indie comics in the late 80s, early 90s. First gained notice for slice of life and satire stories in a title he did called Low Life, where he was the artist and the writer. He'd done work for Dark Horse and Drawn and Quarterly and publications, and then gained a little more mainstream attention after moving to DC Comics. He did fan favorite work on titles like Batman, Catwoman, Gotham Central. At Marvel, he got a little more praise for his X-Men, Daredevil, and especially his groundbreaking run on Captain America. Mostly these days, Brubaker's been concentrating on creator-owned titles like Criminal and Fatale and others, as well as working in Hollywood. Ed Brubaker has also won several Harvey and Eisner Awards over the years. So the penciling is by Michael Lark. He's been an artist for Marvel and DC Comics, as well as doing indie work on things like Lazarus with Greg Rucka. Sean Phillips helped with some of the inks. Phillips started his artistic career in the UK back in the 80s for 2000 AD and The New Statesman. He's most known for his frequent collaborations with Brubaker on things like Criminal, Fatale, Incognito. He's also won a number of Eisners related to his work with Brubaker. So, youth and youthful indiscretions play a large part of the story as far as the themes and subtext. We learn how Jack has made several mistakes in the past, and that's probably why he feels a connection to the missing girl. Eventually, you see that a lot of it's related to drugs. He himself has been a lost person. He himself has been a runaway and hurt loved ones. There's perhaps a similar parallel with the mother of the missing girl. Again, sex and drugs play a part of it, as well as the counterculture of the 70s. We see how the optimism and free love and mind expansion kind of the previous era degenerated into kind of decadence and despair. There's that famous saying about how the 60s were the party and the 70s were the hangover. So that kind of figures into that a little bit. So there. So Well, Jack Harriman is not quite the typical badass you see in a lot of action comics. He is young, he doubts himself, he's far from an invincible fighter. However, he is somewhat connected to that older type of film noir heroes. He's smart, he's cynical, and like many film noir heroes, he may be a little bit haunted by his past. Also, whether it's Jack Nicholson or Sam Spade, the PI gets beat up during the course of the investigation. It's kind of a trope. The story also ends on kind of an ambiguous note. The PI learns the truth, but not everything is tied up in a neat, nice bow, which is kind of a neo noir trait. You think of things like The Long Goodbye, Chinatown, LA Confidential. Um, the art is simple, straightforward panel layouts, slightly stiff figures, lots of shadows. The art is compelling though, and it does move the story forward. I'm guessing Lark may have used photo references here and there, but I'm not sure to what extent. So here's some more art. So you see, it's all very simple and straightforward. It's all very clear. Nothing very over the top like what you would get in even in the action scenes than what you would get in the a typical or stereotypical superhero comic. But it helps create a whole sense of being a bit more grounded. So, Cinecrime, it's kind of a dark story, but it's well plotted, well paced, good dialogue, effective art. It kind of conforms to a lot of film noir detective fiction tropes, but it presents them with, does a fresh take on them, without descending into stereotypes.